This video is sponsored by Crunchyroll. You can use crunchyroll.com/AniNews to get a 14-day free trial of Crunchyroll Premium today. Time to do what this channel was intended for and talk about some of the latest anime news. Starting with, as usual, the newest anime previews for some of next year's anime. First off, we have World End Economica, which is the anime adaptation of the popular financial sci-fi adventure visual novel created by the writer of Spice and Wolf. So if you liked the economics aspect of that series, then this will have similar elements involving more current themes, as it deals with a teenage protagonist who is a natural genius at playing the stock market. It goes a bit beyond that though, since it takes place in a more futuristic society where he's trading in a less regulated market on the moon. You see, he's part of the first generation of humans to be born on the moon, placed from birth into a society that has been heavily split between the elite who live at the center of the lunar city and the rest who don't. Our main character wants to become a part of that elite, so he attempts to do so by using his analytical skills to make some decent gains through the lunar stock exchange. He then enters a virtual stock trading competition with another mathematical genius, and those two will work together to make their way to the top of the market. Now, given who the creator is and the fact that it deals with the ins and outs of current day investing, I think this series is worthy of the title of being a modern Spice and Wolf. The funny thing about it though is that the production cost of the entire anime was covered by a donation from a full-time investor who was a fan of the series. Apparently they saw a good opportunity to teach people about the world of investing. So this person donated to have this visual novel made into an anime. There is, however, a crowdfunding campaign to help support the marketing for it, which I'll link down below. But yeah, if you're a fan of Spice and Wolf and its underlying economic themes, then this will likely be your cup of tea. Anyway, there's no release date yet, but I think it's something worth keeping an eye on. Now, there were quite a few previews released for anime getting continuations, so let's run through each of them quickly before moving on to the next original. First, we got a brief teaser for Megalobox Season 2, showcasing what looks to be an older and scruffy looking Joe. I mean, it does say that it takes place 7 years later, but this man looks like he's seen some shit. Then we got our first full trailer for the Made in Abyss movie, Dawn of the Deep Soul, coming out in January, continuing right from where we left off at the end of the first season and looking just as messed up as before. Don't be fooled by the happy beginning. Things may look like they start out all cute and shit, but when I see something like this and get elevator flashbacks, that's when I remember that this isn't Eurocamp Delta. I'll still watch it anyway though. Also coming out in January is Haikyuu's 2-episode OVA special as well as its 4th season. The OVAs are giving us a special adaptation of the Tokyo qualifiers, while the 4th season trailer gives us a sneak peek into the special training camp that Kageyama was invited to. Looks like this time around, Hinata and Kageyama will be getting their own individual training arcs, at least in the first half anyway. The second half will probably cover nationals, but that won't be coming out until July. Coming out a bit sooner in February will be the release of the Goblin Slayer movie Goblin's Crown. If you remember, this movie actually takes place a bit in the future since it skips a couple of volumes of source material to bring us to this specific arc. But that just means that the story itself is self-contained enough to be displayed as its own thing without revealing anything major. Now, last in the continuations is Studio Trigger's recent reveal to be working on a new SSSS series, this one called Dynazenon, supposedly taking place in the same universe as Gridman but likely not including the same characters. Alright, now let's check out some of the new anime. Next season, we're getting the adaptation of the manga series Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. A rather weird yet fitting title given that the story is about a supernatural being that possesses a stall in a high school girl's bathroom. Basically, if you go to this stall and summon Hanako-kun, he'll grant you any wish. Not only that, but he's also one of 7 mysteries that inhabit this specific school, and the story revolves around him and one high school girl as they work together to unravel the other 6 mysteries. Also next season is the adaptation for the manga that no one knew we needed or even wanted. This one called Ishizoku Reviewers, a fantasy ecchi with a very heavy emphasis on the ecchi, so I'll leave it up to you to look deeper into its very basic premise. In a similar vein, there's also another fantasy ecchi involving monster girls called Monster Girl Doctor, and the plot is exactly how it sounds. On a more serious note, we have another trailer for the Studio Dean adaptation of the action fantasy light novel Sorceress Stabber Orphan. It's kind of like a different version of Demon Slayer in the sense that our main character is trying to save a girl who's pretty much his sister who turned monster. There's people who are on the hunt to kill this girl while our protagonist wants to protect her, and that's pretty much how it'll go. I can't say anything about this trailer looked too spectacular though. For now, it seems like it'll take the spot of your typical average fantasy adventure. Now, if you're a fan of idol anime, then it'd be good to know that Idly Pride is the newest one to enter the genre. It's going to be a mixed media project, debuting the works of a new animation label called CA Animation. Other than that though, there's not much else to say since this is a rather new project. Oh, and since we're on this topic, I forgot to mention that the series Show by Rock is getting another anime in January. Finally, there was a rather interesting anime that I came across which is coming out in spring. It's not an action or fantasy or anything, but simply just a historical drama with a basic plot. We follow a girl who's trying to become a prominent artist during the Renaissance era, which if you didn't know was pretty much unheard of due to the inequalities of that time. So to me, this looks like it'll be a refreshing take on a new type of story, especially since the manga is rated pretty high. Okay, now let's switch over to the newest anime announcements. First off, we were given a fairly pleasant surprise last week, with a big couple of announcements for ReZero. One is that the second season is confirmed to begin airing in April, likely going until the end of summer, though whether it's actually a 2-cour season or not is still to be announced. Second is that starting on January 1st and running every week until April, ReZero will be airing special recut hour-long episodes of Season 1. This new showing of the anime will stitch together the first season's episodes and also add some new footage that wasn't in Season 1 to begin with. What that footage could be, well, we're not quite sure, but we're essentially getting a remastered version of that first season of ReZero, which I honestly couldn't be more excited for. I was actually planning on doing a cut content for the first season, but if this remastered Season 1 shows everything that was skipped, then it might not even be necessary. If anything, this just shows how committed the team behind ReZero is to making this series a great one. Continuing with the Season 2 stuff, both Dr. Stone and Ascendance of a Bookworm got confirmed for a second season. Psycho Pass will be getting a new movie called First Inspector. That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime was revealed to be getting a new original 3-part OVA series. In January, Euro Camp Delta is getting a short spin-off called Heya Camp Delta, with episode 0 already being available on YouTube. Eureka 7 was announced to be getting a film in 2021. A new CG anime project called Kaiju Decode was announced by Toei Animation. The redo of Healer and Bishonen series light novels will be getting their own anime. Manga that are now getting anime are Hidden Things, Jujutsu Kaisen, Osama Ranking, and I'd Like to Borrow a Girlfriend. New movies include the manga Twitter Birds Never Fly coming out February 15th, and the novel Jose, the Tiger and the Fish coming from Studio Bones. Finally, Trigger's brand new animal anime is coming out in April. An original JC Staff anime called Skating Leading Stars was announced for sometime next year, and a 7-part short series involving Pokemon from the Galar region was revealed for January 15th. And that's pretty much all the news that I have for you today. Now, before I go, I'd like to thank Crunchyroll once again for sponsoring this video. With crunchyroll.com/AniNews, you can get a free 14-day trial of Crunchyroll Premium today, giving you complete access to not only all the HD ad-free anime and drama titles they host, but also a wide selection of popular manga. Not to mention that all episodes are professionally subtitled and can be released as soon as an hour after they air in Japan. So go ahead and use crunchyroll.com/AniNews, link in the description, to get your 14-day free trial of Crunchyroll Premium today. Now, as always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of anime content, then you already know what to do. So, until next time, ciao!